So in the Assembly District 30 race, there are technically 3 candidates running. Now, Shamsul is my favorite, and he will be earning, and he has earned my vote. Now, the other 2, I believe there's a third gentleman. I don't really know how to pronounce his name. But that being said, he's just a generic Democrat. That being said, best of luck to his campaign. I don't think he's going to win, but good luck to him. But the other candidate, his name is Patrick Martinez. Now, I have not personally met Patrick. I'm sure he's a great guy. And from what I know, he's also a former district leader, and he's running for state assembly now, which is great. And if you've gotten all the mailers like I have, right? That's like 4 mailers. Yeah, I've literally gotten 4 mailers from this guy. I didn't know him before the mailers, really, or even, I guess, before Shamsul's campaign. But that being said, like, one thing we know as organizers, mailers don't vote. You got Grace Mang, sending out her mailers, like, proud of her ICE badge, right? And then you got Patrick Martinez sending 4 mailers. I'm like, not an organizer. Organizers do the work. We have these conversations. We talk. We speak. We listen. The best thing we can do as organizers is listen, not waste paper on, that kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to be mean here. It's really just like, when you think about it, right? Like, if I don't have a conversation with this guy, I'm not really going to know what's he all about. Because here's the thing, like, if you look at his campaign literature, right? Like, sure, it's all the right talking points. Like, some of it is in Spanish, right? Martinez, like, good for him, blah, blah, blah. Like, tax the rich. Yes, we all want to tax the rich now, which, sure, I'll give it to him. Like, running on a progressive platform, that's great. But here's the interesting fact. Now, Patrick Martinez is not running on the same platform Joe Crowley did. But if I have an option to run on someone who actually organized for Zoran, right? Shamsul Haque did the work as an organizer. But also, he's actually outraising Patrick Martinez. So even the fact that Patrick Martinez's uncle, Joe Crowley, maybe didn't set him up with the same donations or connections, right? Which I guess is a good thing. But here's the thing. Shamsul Haque has, like, outraised the field, like, 4 times greater than anyone else. And, like, having that intel from the campaign, Shamsul Haque, like, his average donation is a little over $50. $50. That's great. Like, the fact that we have a grassroots candidate, Shamsul Haque, running on a strong progressive platform to be an ally with Zoran Mamdani, right? The mayor. Shamsul Haque, he is running for the seat because he wants to partner with Mayor Mamdani. Now, granted, Zoran is the New York City mayor, and Shamsul Haque is running for the state assembly, but we need as many allies of Mayor Mamdani as possible in the state legislature if we're going to pass the important policy priorities. For instance, Shamsul Haque is running on a progressive platform. He wants to pass the New York for All Act. The New York for All Act would discontinue the cooperation between federal ICE agents and New York State law enforcement. So it's the same type of policy priorities that Mayor Mamdani supports. Also, taxing the rich. Shamsul wants to tax the rich. His story as an immigrant from Bangladesh coming to New York with $200 in his pocket, okay, worked his way up, and he's also used to be a part of the NYPD. But when did he join? He actually joined basically within months of 9/11 to bridge the gap between the Muslim community and New Yorkers. Right now, we know that Shamsul Haque, there's attacks of Islamophobia against him, and that's typical with any campaign, and they're trying to say he's homophobic and transphobic, all those things, which that just comes with the mudslinging. But when you look at the policy priorities and the record, right, someone who worked in the NYPD in the corruption unit to take on those bad officers. And when you look at his campaign and how he's running to organize Muslims, get them more involved in the democratic process, right? If we can bridge the gap between law enforcement and our marginalized communities, this is how we can protect each other, and this is how we can actually make better relationships. Shamsul Haque's background isn't a flaw, it's a strength. So the idea that we have someone who knows the system, outraising everyone using grassroots dollars, right? The fact that he has the policy knowledge, being in as a former New York City employee, right? Working under the NYPD, that is part of New York City's fabric, especially keeping us all safe. So when it comes to that, right, if Shamsul Haque is earning the endorsement of Bernie Sanders, Jamaal Bowman, and Diana Moreno, that gives me the confidence I need to know that we can use his background as an asset and not a flaw. So I am so excited, again, to support Shamsul Haque. Shamsul has already earned my vote because I know he is transparent and he is broken from that system. Mayor Mamdani challenged that system. Shamsul Haque is challenging that system. And Chuck Park, he is challenging that same system. If we don't have people challenge the system, we're going to get the bad, horrible results of 2 Trump presidencies. And at this point, who knows what we're going to get in 2028? That being said, we need to support as many progressive candidates, progressive Democrats as possible, especially in this Democratic primary, because that is when voters will have the choice. New York City is overwhelmingly blue. Even Grace Meng, right? It's a D+6. So should Grace Meng win, she'll just carry the seat anyway. But if we get Chuck Park to win, I can guarantee it will be not a D+6, meaning a majority of Democrats or voters will vote for the Democrat. It will be even double that. I bet you it'll be a D+12. I could see that happening because if you recall, how many voters stayed home in 2024 because, sorry, but Harris wasn't bringing the economic affordability agenda to the table, let alone her stance on what was happening in Gaza. Chuck Park calls it a genocide. Shamsul Haque calls it a genocide. Grace Meng just calls it an oops. So sorry, but oopsie daisy ain't gonna cut it. So fast forward, let's support progressive, strong Democrats that are willing to challenge the systems at B because we are not going to get anything better with the same system. So I implore all of you who are watching, who have friends in the district or the area, and even if you don't live here, donate, volunteer, phone bank, right? There's still ways to participate and get involved if you don't live in the district. Now, for those of us who are in the district, I would love to hang out sometime. We can canvass, get a drink after, right? There's plenty of great restaurants and bars in the district. Love to hang. And listen, I just moved to Woodside, so for me, I'm still learning. So would love to have that time and just chat and, really organize and volunteer for great candidates. And I love the fact that Shamsul Haque and Chuck Park, great guys. I've met Chuck. I have not met Shamsul yet, but I will say, based on folks working for Shamsul, I am very confident that it is a well-run campaign, and they will come out victorious on Election Day. Now, for Chuck Park, to be clear, Chuck can win. Will he win? It's the same mindset we had for AOC in 2018. I personally didn't think AOC would win on election night, but I still organized and volunteered for her because I felt her mission is exactly what we needed. The rest is history. And now that we know that Chuck Park is getting as many volunteers to get the word out as possible now, and I don't think Grace Meng is doing the same. Chuck Park could win by surprise, even if it's only by a handful of votes. If Chuck Park wins by what, 1 vote like Bernie Sanders did, or 10 votes like Bernie Sanders did when he won for Burlington mayor, anything is possible. So if we can get Chuck Park to win 10 votes, 100 votes, 1,000 votes, even if he's up by 20,000 votes, who knows at this point? But at the end of the day, only we can make that happen. If we organize and tell people about the policies he's running on, it's such a no-brainer. But we need to get more people talking about this race because if you've noticed, Grace Meng is refusing to debate or even talk with Chuck Park in any public forum because she knows he will hold her accountable to her own record because it's not that great. So if we talk about this race, online, Instagram, Facebook, right? If you have Twitter, go for it. We got to be talking about it because that's how people wake up and oh, I do have a progressive running in my district. Oh, I do have someone who's rejecting corporate PAC money, who wants to tax the rich, pass Medicare for all, and pass universal child care, right? Chuck is the candidate. But until we get more people talking about the race, getting involved in the race, in the campaign, and really, creating that environment of just Chuck Park. I'll say this real quick. One of my organizer friends, shout out to Melissa, we go back from the AOC and Bernie days, and she was sharing that, she has a pin for Chuck, Chuck for Queens. And when she first started wearing it months ago, right, early in the campaign, she was getting comments oh, Chuck Schumer for Queens? What? Oh, really? And she's no, not Chuck Schumer. Chuck Park. So she would have that conversation. But as of May, now the conversation changed to Oh, Chuck for Queens? Yeah, I like that guy. I see him on Instagram. Oh yeah, Chuck is great. Now they know. People are waking up. And with the election less than 3 weeks away, we need them to wake all the way up. Give them a Red Bull. Give them a 5-hour energy. Whatever you need to wake people up and get them to vote for Chuck Park, because we have a real chance to win it. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I know it was a lot untangling the web, but this is how we move our politics forward. So if you like what you heard and want to learn more, then make sure to subscribe to Not Suitable for Democracy on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Or you can follow along for more news and content on Instagram and TikTok. I use the same handle for both, so you can follow along at NSFD_pod. And remember, early voting for the Democratic primaries start on June 13th, and Election Day is June 23rd. Please cast your vote. I would love for you to vote for Shamsul Haque for State Assembly District 30 and for Chuck Park for Congress in New York's 6th Congressional District. But ultimately, the choice is yours. And remember, democracy is not suitable without you.